Alright. It's no secret that Kings has a whiteness problem. If elected, you will occupy a position of relative power. How will you, with your lived experience, engage with the membership and utilize your privilege in ways that are constructive for building a resilient culture of resistance on campus that everyone feels they can be a part of?
That's really good. Okay, so first thing, definitely, I totally agree with the fact that Kings has a whiteness problem. It's super, it's so frustrating to me that this is an issue. I feel like the first step that I talked about in my platform, definitely I want to educate on the issues at hand that have to do with different ethnicities and all of that on our campus. I feel like as a white woman who's just I feel at home at Kings, but I feel like people of other ethnicities might not, and I want to let them know that they are included in that it matters, and I want to show more of their culture, because I feel like the culture at Kings and all the events sometimes can be focused more towards the whiteness, I guess, of the campus. So I feel like being in touch with those people, getting the word out that I want to plan things that focus on their culture, their backgrounds. I want to do more things that bring the multicultural aspect to Kings, and not necessarily just blocking that out and focusing on the culture that we have now. So.
As EVP, you get to work on a bunch of rad campaigns with a wide variety of folks from the community at Kings as well as beyond. This means you get to work on a lot of things that you care about, but it also means that sometimes you have to respond to things that you didn't anticipate. This is a situational question, therefore. What would you do if a student came up to you and let you know about some sexist, racist, or just generally really offensive comments on social media?
Well, definitely, sometimes I don't really think that it's my place to personally go after someone who's posting that, or just myself to take on that burden of going towards someone who's posting really horrible things on social media. I think it's important to let people who are higher up in the food chain know. So our dean of students let something know that something bad's happening to someone on our campus and that it needs to be stopped for sure. But I feel like if I get elected as EVP, I am kind of a face of I have a pretty big role in the Kings community, so I definitely want to speak out about that, be it a speech before a FIP lecture, or just letting people know that that's not okay to do on social media or in face-to-face conversation. So I just really want to as much as I want to personally go after them, I know that that's not necessarily the right place as a professional not I don't know how to word model of Kings, someone who's trying to represent the Kings student body. I think it's definitely good to bring it to someone who's trained a little bit better than I am to dealing with these super difficult situations, but I also need to take a stance against it. So
thank you. As student organizers on campus, the year ahead is going to be a challenging one for all. There's a $500 tuition fee increase for FIP immediately on the table, and student representatives will be working with the new president. Keeping in mind that power concedes nothing without struggle, and that the role of the EVP is to educate and mobilize students around accessibility issues, what will you bring to the position to make sure Kings is accessible to all, in italics and bolded, and to stop Nova Scotia from having the highest tuition in Canada? The person who submitted this question is asking in regards to your ability to motivate and organize the membership tactics and strategies.
Awesome, that's such a good question. So first thing, they're kind of if they're asking about my this leadership capabilities that I have personally, I'm definitely a really social, passionate person. So I really like to engage the Kings community, and I'd love to get out there and talk to them one-on-one, personally, in groups, going to different society meetings, maybe letting them know if a rally's happening, or just letting them know why there's a need to rally against tuition increases and things like that. Because honestly, being in first year, sometimes I felt I was kind of in a bubble. I felt they didn't really need my voice. I wanted people to know that first years have such a big voice, and honestly we're all really passionate people, so I feel that's definitely letting them know that stuff is happening and getting out there, and then seeing my face as maybe a motivating factor. Because if you see someone who's really passionate come up to you and be yo, this is really cool, we really want to do something about this, they're going to want to do the same thing. What was the other half of the question?
Just what strategies, tactics, What ideas do you have to motivate and organize the membership around issues like the $500 increase?
I have so many ideas. I don't think I can talk about them all right now, but I definitely want to, as like we have a new president coming in, and there's a new government in right now. Now is definitely the time to go after, like not attack them, but like to let the people in our government know that like this is something that's super important to not only us but to like our whole province, our whole country. I really think that they need to know that students have a voice and that like it's a loud voice and that we might be one of the most important voices they need to hear. So definitely getting out there, like doing rallies is like top of the list because I feel like that's really a really good thing. And like, there's so many things I want to talk about. As a group, I really think that we need to unite. So like when I say that like we need to all be educated, I feel like when we're being educated, it can also be like a super big point of like getting people fired up to like fight about this. So if we have like kind of like extra FIP lecture style on like, or like CFS like conference style like speech, getting everyone fired up about like fighting for our tuition freezes and all of these kind of things, I feel like that would really like get everyone motivated and stuff to make a difference. So yeah, thank you.
The last question submitted via social media is this. An executive position is a huge time commitment and it can be difficult to balance both school and advocacy work. How would you prioritize this position?
I'm definitely no stranger to having to prioritize like my activist like student government part because in high school I was a really big part of the exec and I was on almost every single committee. So I know that high school is completely different from university, but I feel like that does give me a little bit of an edge because I had to balance like my classes and this. Honestly, I really feel like the time commitment is not a huge deal for me because I know how to time manage really well. I've used to it for like 4 years, so it's I know the things that I believe in and the things that I want to stand up against are super important, and marks aren't necessarily the most important thing that I want to deal with. Like, they're definitely important. Like, school is like super important, one of my values, but like I feel like now's the time more than ever for us to like make a difference. So I really want to like stress the fact that this is one of my biggest priorities, and I really want to let the student body know that like I'm willing to fight like hard.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the humans in the room?
Sure. The provincial government over the course of the last 2 years or so has shown that they're not friendly to students with the tuition deregulation and a couple other bills that were hostile to students. Do you have any plans on how to relate to the provincial government and maybe get us a voice back on when they're doing consultations and things such as that? Because they have also excluded us from tuition roundtable discussions and things like that in a way that we used to be included.
Yeah, for sure. The government makes me so mad right now. But when I was at the CFS conference over the weekend, I learned so many cool things. I heard about, like for the first time, which is kind of shocking me, that they just kind of shot down like Bill 114, and it made me like, they told us this in the women's constituency, and I was like, just like my jaw just dropped. I was just like, I don't know how they can just shut us down. Like, do they really think that they have that much power? And I feel like it's, although we sent postcards and things like that, I think we need to keep persistent. Like, one round of postcards isn't enough to make them realize that like these are things that we really need to fight about. We need to be persistent. We need to keep going at it. Like, I know that if someone can't make like a petition or something one day, that they can definitely make it the next time. So we can focus like, we're gonna do 3 continuous days of doing this or doing that, and then like letting the government know that like we don't want this to like drop. We want to keep going with this stuff. So that's definitely being persistent is definitely one thing. I'm definitely not afraid to go up against like to keep messaging, to keep phone calling, asking for meetings, not only for myself but for other members of the exec and specifically the president. I feel like it's definitely our place to talk to the government, and I think that they should definitely realize that they should make time out of their day to talk to the students, because like in the end like they're making rules about us and our lives, so we should have definitely a lot of say in it.
Just for clarity's sake, can you say in like one sentence what Bill 114 is for anyone watching this who isn't familiar with it?
I forget the name of it. Bill 114 is that's the Safer Campuses, Safer Colleges and Universities Act.
Yeah.
And it's that's what it is. Definitely look it up. But like it's mind-boggling like what happened with that one. So yeah.
Thanks. Any other questions for people in the group?
So a lot of the people you're going to be engaging with are students who also are managing their extracurriculars and their academics, and generally students are very busy. So we all know that activist burnout happens, and that it's difficult to both ask commitment from people and then also understand that people need to practice self-care and also the other commitments in their life. So I'm just wondering, like, what examples either like in your life or like how would you see your organizing reflecting that students are first and foremost students?
Definitely, I definitely dealt with burnout in high school because I was always trying to do everything all at once, and we definitely need to learn to prioritize. I kind of like something that I'd like to work on, like talk with the exec about, is bringing in a little more, like working with organizations in the community that deal with kind of self-care aspects. So like, there's some really good artists at NASCAD who could maybe come and like teach us like how to do some kind of cool artsy thing that we could like take our minds off it, while also being meaningful. So like they did with the postcards for something like that, or like making huge banners. It can be also a stress reliever, but while also dealing with issues that affect us. So I hope that makes some sense. I think that's my answer for that one.
I have a question that kind of goes off of ADs in a way. A lot of the really big events that the CFS and the CFS&S run are like stuff like the Day of Action, for example, which those students do get, technically can take the day off of class. It does necessitate them taking the day off class. I know a lot of people who felt just that they couldn't do that, and they felt really pressured that they were not able, for whatever reason, to take that time away from their classes. So I'm just wondering if you had any thoughts on how we can still involve these people and have them engage meaningfully with these huge actions, while at the same time respecting that maybe this is something that just isn't working for them.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Although like the Day of Action was a super cool thing, I wish I could have been a part of it. I wasn't around at the time, but I really think that maybe we shouldn't just make it like that. Just because you can't go to the protest or the rally or whatever doesn't mean you can't be a part of it. So maybe if we give like students more like education in advance, we can let them know that like they can make signs, they can like spread the word on social media. They can still be a huge part of it, even if they can't go. The other half of your question was how like maybe I could probably try to talk like to the professors and organizers at Dal. I know that they're probably, or like at King's or anything, that there is this huge thing happening. And I know that some professors would definitely be on our side, some others wouldn't. But I feel like it's a shot to try to talk to them, try to see, like, this is happening. Maybe you could, like, talk to your students while in class about it, or, like, just, like, give them a little leeway and if they're missing class, because I really think that professors should know that, like, this is something that needs to be done, needs to be shown, it needs to be talked about. I hope that's a good answer.
Yeah, it is already, and it's like you can. Last time it happened, profs did count that as an excused absence, which is awesome. But I think it was around midterms, and a lot of people didn't take that time. Anyway, but great answer, thank you.
I feel that. No problem.
Thank you.
Cool.
Last call for questions. Sweet. Thank you.
Thanks.